All right, I want to finish it here because I think this chapter is very important, and it says a lot in this chapter. I think that people would the Most High had an understanding of that. Eventually, people would be questioning why we do the things that we do, and I think a lot of times we don't always have the answers. Sometimes we may meet people who are generally curious. Some people who may just be skeptics, and I think it's important to have a grasp of this understanding, so we can answer people with the questions that they may have, or we're able to defend our faith. So I think this chapter really um, highlights a lot of that, and also imparts the importance of, or it highlights the importance of being a parent. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1, and the title says "Obey God and prosper." That's very simple and deep at the same time. Now these are the commandments of the statutes of the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, and you may do them in the land whither you go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. So he emphasizes that the son has to be focused on teaching him these commandments. Why the son? Because the son eventually is going to be someone's father, it's going to be someone's husband. So you have to teach your son how to lead, how you teach them to lead. You teach them how to obey the commandments, because the commandments, like I said, makes you bear fruit. It makes you prosperous. It makes you wise. Like David said in Psalm 119, he's wise than all his teachers because he meditates on his commandments. That's how you build men of the Lord. You have to teach them these commandments. You have to make sure that they know what to do, because they're going to lead people. They're going to lead someone's daughter. They're going to lead someone's son and daughter. So they have to be able to know this, and they're emphasizing this. So, verse 3, hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it might be well with thee, and that you may increase mightily, as the Lord God of thy fathers has promised thee, in a land that floweth with milk and honey. All right. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one, Lord. And in Hebrew is Shema, Yisrael, Yahweh, our Elohim is one, or Akkad, Elohim, he's one God. All right. And so if you're hearing this message, if this resonates with your spirit, you are a part of Israel. That's what it's about. He's speaking to this nation, which is spread across the whole world. And if you're listening to this message and you hear it, you are a part of this group of people. Verse 5, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart. Like we said, what we said, the heart is your innermost part. That's your ark. That's where the Most High Spirit is supposed to dwell inside you. So verse 7, uh, oh, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them in when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by thy way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And so you're supposed to talk to your child constantly, because children, as we know, are like sponges. They absorb everything. It's like sometimes there are music that I remember listening to as a child that I absorbed it because my parents were listening to it on the radio. I still remember TV shows that I had in my head from when I was a child. So we have to understand that it's the role of a parent is probably the most important occupation you will ever have in your life, because your child is really like a it's like an investment in a sense, because this child's going to grow up and really be a reflection of your teaching. And even if we may not want to admit it or not, we are a reflection of how our parents taught us, whether it was good or if it was bad, because we do things instinctively that we don't even understand why. We just do it, and then until we get older, we're like, you know what, I don't think this is necessarily the right way. Or it's like, oh yeah, I'm glad my parents did it because I continue to do it now. So we have to understand, if we are parents and we plan to be parents, that we have to take a really serious investment in our children, because, like I said, they are going to be someone's parent one day. They're going to be someone's husband. They're going to be someone's wife. And we have to make sure that they're equipped for those duties. All right. Oh, verse 8, thou shalt bind them on a sign upon thy hand, thou shalt be as frontlets between thy eyes. So they should also, these commandments should be in your the way that you do things and also how you think about things. They should be in your mind as well in your actions, right? Verse 9, and thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house and on thy gates. So you shall always keep these always on your mind, meditating them. Verse 10, and it shall be when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee in the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things which thou buildest not, and wells dig which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not, when thou shalt have eaten and be full. He's saying he's giving you this land and these houses and these vineyards and these gardens. He said you did not create, but he says he's giving you. He's on this is yours. But he's like you didn't even plant these. So he's like I'm giving these to you. And it's like this is so it's like but when you get them and you be full, he said verse 12, then beware lest thou forget the Lord which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. So don't get proud, don't get arrogant that oh I did it myself. He's like, no, he's like, I did this for you. Don't become ungrateful. Verse 13, thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him and shalt swear by his name. You shall not go after other gods and the gods of the people which are round about you. All right. Verse 15 or verse 16. Verse 15, for the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt the Lord your God as you tempted him in Massah. And remember that story in Massah, that's I think Exodus 17. That's when they just got out of Egypt and they started complaining to the Most High about or complaining to Moses about like, oh, you send us to the wilderness just to kill us from lack of dehydration, lack of water, going down from dehydration. And he's like, why would I do all this just to bring you to the wilderness just to kill you? And he's like, it's just like y'all tempting me. He's like, y'all don't trust that I'm faithful. He's like, why are you tempting me? It's like when we complain about like, oh man, the Most High is going to, he brought us out here just to kill us. It's like so many times we don't realize the way that he brought us so far away. Like even to this day, like even a couple of years ago, I mean, people, they were dying from the pandemic. They were having a lot of, nervous breakdowns, panic attacks. And the Most High brought you here. A lot of people are not here today. So it's like you have to have that faith that he's going to continue to do the good work he started in you, that he's going to continue to do that. You have to remind yourself that. Don't tempt the Lord by saying like, oh, he forgot about me. It's like he didn't forget about you. Verse 17, you shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God and his testimonies and his statutes, which he has commanded thee, and thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to cast out all thy enemies from before thee, as the Lord has spoken. Good. All right. And so he's giving us a background of why we're supposed to do this. Now, you as a parent, now he's going to get into the crux of what I wanted to go into. Why? So he says, verse 20, when thy son asked thee in time to come, saying, what mean the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which the Lord our God has commanded you? So it's like a time when your child is going to get old enough, they're going to ask, like, why do we keep these commandments? Why do we keep the Sabbath? Why do we do this stuff? Like, why? Why is that important? And that's a question, something we have to ask that to understand why we believe what we believe. Because at a point, we all kind of just did it just because that's what we did. That's what our family did. It's our tradition. It's like, it's like we just did it. I don't know why I do it. I just do it. My dad did it. My mom did it. I just do it too. But it's like it comes to a point where you have to examine your own faith. It's like, what's the reason why I do what I do? And he's going to answer this question right here. Verse 21, then thou shalt say unto thy son, we were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And the Lord showed signs and wonders, great and sore, upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, upon all his household, before our eyes. And he brought us out from this, that he might bring us in, to give us the land which he sware unto our fathers. So this is the context. He's saying that the Most High, he did all this stuff in Egypt was similar to America. It was very powerful, very influential. They said this was the greatest nation on earth at this time. They said that their gods were the greatest gods of all. So when the Lord, he basically destroyed their whole economy and destroyed their whole livelihood, and he brought them out with abundance. He's like, he humbled Egypt. So he humbled the most powerful nation and brought these people out. So he said, like, these guys are not real gods. I'm the real God, and you need to follow me. So it's to remind you of how the much power that he has. And this is what was supposed to be done at that time period when you tell your son and your daughter about these commandments, why we do what we do. In the same way, in today, it's like, why we do what we do? Well, it's like, well, there was a time where, the Most High sent his son into the world, and he actually sacrificed his life for us. So it's like, this was, very similar. He loved us so much that he gave his own son. And this is supposed to be our, basically our way of showing appreciation and gratitude and just showing our love for him by keeping these commandments. As Jesus or Christ said in John chapter 15, he's like, if you love me, you keep my commandments, right? So it's the same way we show our gratitude by doing that. In verse 23, and he brought us out from this that he might bring us in to give us the land which he swore unto our fathers. And the Lord commanded us to do all these things, all these statutes, and to fear the Lord our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, and as it is this day. And also, he's giving them this promise. He said, not only did he bring us out of Egypt, that we were slaves, we were bondmen, but he's also fulfilling a promise that he gave to our forefathers. So he's actually a covenant keeper. He made a covenant with our ancestors, and he's fulfilling it. So it's not only that he was so powerful and so merciful that he let us out of Egypt, but he's also fulfilling a promise that we see that he's faithful as well. So he didn't forget about us. All right.
Amen.
And verse 25, and it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God as he has commanded us. And righteousness is a way of saying what's the right thing. The Bible teaches us what's right and what's wrong. So what the Bible is teaching us how things are supposed to be and how things will be. So we have to understand that, and when we gain that understanding, it changes our whole perspective of life, and it changes our walk, and it makes us return, makes us repent from things that we used to do and to just do what he wanted us to do. All right. So good. All right. So that's all I got. I think that was you wanted to kind of be kind of short, so I didn't want to be too long.
Amen. That's good.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep flowing. All right. All right, now that's all I got. That's only had two pages. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate y'all. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So inside the ark, there was also the candlestick.
The candlestick that was on the table. So inside the tabernacle, you had the table, and you had the candlestick, and had I think those were the big things. But that was where you sacrificed the animal, and then you brought it into the ark, the holy of holies, and you splashed the blood on the ark.
So there wasn't any candlesticks on the ark.
On the ark itself,
yeah.
no. It was the golden censer was in the ark or by the ark, and that was what you used to light the incense. But it wasn't necessarily a candlestick on the ark. Only thing that was on top of the ark was the cherubim facing each other, and then the blood that the high priest would shed on it every year for Day of Atonement.
Okay. But the ark contained a golden jar, which was the manna, the staff, and the tablets of the covenant.
Yes, the ark contained the staff of Aaron, the manna, and the Ten Commandments, the tablets.
And the ark is what's supposed to be in our heart.
Right. So our body is a temple. Our heart is the ark, because that's like, if we said, who are you? You would say my heart is like, what makes Jody Jody? That would be the inner emotions, the the soul, your inner part, your mind, that. So that's supposed to be the art. That's supposed to be the most intimate part of yourself. Like, it's like you share this with only the people that you trust the most. This is my inner part. But that's the part that the Lord wants. He wants our heart. He's like, love me with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength. So that's supposed to be the most intimate part of ourselves that we're supposed to give to him. Okay. So that's why it's the ark. In my perspective, that's what it means, is the ark, because that's the most intimate place where he was. In a temple.
Nate, also, when you was talking about faith, sometimes, I have to remind myself, when you're going through stuff, you have to tell yourself sometimes, man, Most High brought you this far. You got to believe in him, man. Come on, man, get yourself together. And you have to, remember, back in the past and adjust your memory. You know what I'm saying? So that's true. You got to have faith. And that's the bottom line to it.
Yeah, that's real. You got to have faith. That's why you always have to remember, this. That's why it's, always talking about remember. And actually, going into that, it's funny you say that male, when God made male and female, the word male really means to remember, because it's man's responsibility to chronicle history. When you think about historians, men are typically the ones that chronicle history. They like to record the events of time over time. So it's like, in regards to the Bible, the men of the Lord, like Moses or Joshua or the prophets, they wrote down what the Most High told them so people could remember what they're supposed to do. And they're supposed to teach their children this, of course, the husband and the wife are supposed to teach their children the ways of the Lord. But, the first way you have to do is, like, you got to remember. He's trying to get us to remember, like, go back to the ancient past. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is how you break these quote unquote generational curses. This is how you be prosperous. This is how you become, successful. This is how you have to go back to the beginning,
Yes, so, that's true.
Males a car. Yeah, good job. That's it. Strong's 2-1. Good job.
Laughing.
He said laughing. Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't want to keep y'all too long. I just, had just an hour worth. I'm still recording.